Spindrift. This is my recent addiction. So today is my mom's birthday and I had a 5.5-hour drive this morning. So whenever I woke up, I knew it was gonna be a hard day for me, and so I needed a book that was just going to pull me out of whatever mind situation I was gonna be stuck in. I didn't know. So I was scrolling on Spotify audiobooks and I saw that they had this book available, The Royal Heirs Academy. I don't know if y'all remember, but last year I did this exact video reading royal books, and I went to the bookstore and I bought this book during that vlog with the expectation that I would read it this year. And so I feel like we've come full circle. But I started this book in the car and I was mad at myself for not spending the entire car ride listening to this book. That's how good this book is. I am so far loving the characters. I am loving the relationship between every character. Oh wait, let me tell you guys what the book is about. I'm so sorry. So in this book, we are at a elite boarding school. This is where pretty much any person with money or is worth knowing goes to this boarding school in high school. However, this academic year, the king has 4 heirs and they are going to go to this school to do various different things, and one of them is going to be crowned the heir apparent, following 4 high schoolers who could potentially be handed an entire kingdom. This book is so complicated, not hard to read. If anything, the fact that it's so complicated, it is so interesting to read because with every single turn of the page, I don't know what I'm expecting. This is a potential 5-star read for me. Also, fun fact, you guys probably won't see this video air because it didn't go well. I was doing this video ends when I find my next 5-star book. First read for the vlog, it was a 5-star read. So I was like, okay, not posting that. I'm exhausted, I'm going to bed. My spindrift and I will see you tomorrow. It's my birthday. It's my birthday. Also, I finally got this down. I struggled for weeks to try to get that down. I'm not even kidding. It was a freaking lever that I had to pull. Who would have thought? Not me, clearly. I've already listened to about 5 chapters this morning, just in driving to the gym, driving home from the gym, getting ready for today, showering, all of that. And the book, still really freaking good, guys. So yeah, I will see you whenever I have another update. Hello everyone. It has unfortunately been a month since we last spoke. Actually, over a month. I believe my last update was my birthday. I work at a church. As you know, it was my birthday. Then the following week it was Easter, so I was not reading much. Immediately following Easter, my body just gave out. I was not doing well. I got the flu. Then I got a sinus infection. Then my eardrum burst, so I have a perforated eardrum. I got pink eye, and just as everything is kind of starting to go down again, my eardrum burst again, so I cannot hear out of this ear, so it is very, very stressful. I finished Royal Heirs. Oh, my battery's about to die. Let me go charge you for a little bit, but I finished Royal Heirs since we last spoke, and I finished the sequel, Royal Liars. My battery is fully charged now. Sorry about that. I remember loving this book. I remember being so addicted to this book and quite literally changing my audiobook speed to read it faster. Not because I wanted it to be over, but because I was so invested. I was inhaling this storyline, and it was so, so good. I gave this book 4.25 stars. There were a couple of plot things that I wasn't the happiest with the direction that it went in, so that's why I took it down from a 5, just because there were a couple things that I was like, I'm really not happy with this. I started this book with 2 favorites, and then by the end of the book, my favorites had switched. So that was very interesting to read. I started this one in audio. I read Royal Liars. I gave this book 3 stars. There was nothing like horribly wrong with it. This book had a very interesting plot, and the character development was done so well. This book, I really was not a fan of the direction that their character development went. I also wasn't a fan of the plot necessarily. I was maybe 150 pages in before the synopsis started. So this was all like recap and like telling you about where you were at, and I was like, no, I'm not vibing with this at all. However, once the second half picked up and started, I was like, yeah, this is for me, this is good. I am also 250 pages into 1,000 Heartbeats by Kiera Cass. I am loving this book so far. We are following Princess Annika, and she is a princess. She lives a life of comfort, a life of protection. She lives a life of luxury, we can say. However, she has just entered into a loveless marriage, which was something that they chose to do for political gain. But so she does not like who she is engaged to. She's very unhappy. But there's also this other guy named Lennox, and he is miles away, a kingdom away, and he is doing I guess we could say a rebellion, or he's about to start a war against her kingdom, and their worlds collide in a very fun way. That plot point was I definitely enjoyed them meeting. So basically, Lennox has devoted his whole life to taking over Annika's dad's throne. So that kind of puts Annika and Lennox as direct competition. However, we find themselves actually just really enjoying each other's company. I'm gonna get to reading, and I'll catch up with you guys when I have an update. So I don't know when the last time was I really checked in page count wise. I believe it's been about 100 pages since we last chatted. I'm on 370. The book has always been good and it's always been entertaining to me, but there was just a flip that happened, and I think it was very political at the beginning. Lennox and Annika had their first interaction, like their first encounter with each other. That was really, really fun to read. And then obviously them going back to their own separate kingdoms, I was like, okay. And it got really political again, which was really interesting, and it was setting up for what we're in now. So all of it was good. There were just a couple moments that I was like, I'm not having the best time right now, but I will say we needed the political information because right now the stakes feel so high, and that is because of all the information that we have about this political system, the kingdoms, the history. I do want to say that there was a fight scene between Annika and Lennox, and if you guys have never seen the movie Mirror Mirror, y'all have to, because it is my favorite Snow White retelling. And it has Lily Collins in it, and she's phenomenal. But so the whole time that I was reading this fight scene, I was picturing the Mirror Mirror fight scene, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Like, I genuinely felt like I was watching a movie. So far, so good, but I am thrilled with this romance book. So, yay! I finished 1,000 Heartbeats at the beach last night. It was so good. I'm giving this book 5 stars. It was actually incredible. It was a perfect mix of giving me things that I loved as a teenager, and so it really got that nostalgic factor, but it also gave me things that I like now as a young 20s reader. There were times that I would go to watch TV and I would be like, what show was I just watching? And it's me mentally thinking about this book. Like, that's how vivid the imagery was in here, and the description really just brought this book to life. I think as I grow older, I continuously have this fear that young adult literature isn't going to affect me the same way, or I'm not going to be able to love it as much as I would a book written for somebody my age. But I'll say this book did not disappoint me. If anything, it gave me the escape that I was needing. So now that I finished that book, we have about 2.5 weeks until summer, so I'm trying to figure out what book I can read that I can for sure get done by summer starting, and I have decided to do Wings of Starlight. This is another young adult book about royalty. Because of how much I like this book has inspired me to pick up this one. I love Tinkerbell. I often go back and forth between if I would rather be a fairy or a mermaid. Those are the two mystical creatures that I'm always like, I want to be one, and I can never decide which one. So in this book, we are following Princess Clarion, and that is Queen Clarion from Tinkerbell. but we are getting her prequel story, I guess you could say. In this book, we are following her as she is a princess in training, or I guess as she's a queen in training, and there are some really dark and scary monsters that are released, and she ends up having to pair with the version of her over the winter fairies, and they are pretty separated, these two worlds. So just throughout this book, we are going to, I guess, watch them work together to tackle a problem that is affecting both of their realms. I'm gonna get reading. Hi, I promise I have a shirt on. I have officially finished Wings of Starlight. I finished this book tonight, and I actually have had one of the most fun bookish evenings of my life. Can I tell you guys about it? Yes, I can. My local bookstore puts together all of these incredibly fun events for bookish girlies, for crafty girlies, for self-care girlies. I have like 5 really good, really close reader girly pop best friends, and it has been such a blessing to get to know each of them, and we are officially starting a book club, and it is just so cool to have friends that I can share this hobby with. But so anyways, tonight we went to our local bookshop because they had a bling your book night. So I ended up blinging The Summer of Yes, which if you guys don't know, you guys don't know because I never posted this vlog. Oh my gosh! The Summer of Yes, I read this book last year. I gave it a 4.5 stars. And looking back, it's a 5-star read because I can't stop thinking about this book. But so I decided to bedazzle the cover in these like pearls. I really feel like this is just enough pop to really get it across that this is bedazzled. I was at this event and this one girl decided to bedazzle this book that I've heard so much about, and I've been dying to read it. And the owner of the bookshop heard me talking to this girl, and she was like, "Oh, sweetheart, I have a special edition copy." Please don't say those words to me. Anyways, she said them and I couldn't unhear it. And then at the end of the event, I was like, should I buy it? So I looked at my bestie Corinne and I said, do I buy this book? And Corinne was like, are you gonna finish a book anytime soon? Because she knows me. And I was like, actually, I'm gonna finish my current read. I have 60 pages left. And she was like, well, if you finish it tonight, then you can justify the purchase. If I can justify a purchase, I'm getting the book. Dire bound. What? Guys, I've heard so many incredible things about this book. Literally, what? This book sounds incredible, and the sequel just came out, and she actually told me that she has the sequel in the special edition as well. So I might be getting that. Pretty incredible night. As soon as I got home, I read Wings of Starlight. This book was really, really good. I ended up giving it a 3.25 stars, which I'm sure you guys are probably like, how can you say the book is really good and then give it that rating? So pretty much my fear that happens with like, this is also a middle grade book, and I'm 24. I wasn't meant to get out of this book what the author intended for the reader to get out of it, if that makes sense. Was I obsessed with being able to enter back into Pixie Hollow, into a new story that I have never heard or watched or read before? Absolutely. Did I love it? Yes. Do I wish there was a little bit more to it? Yes. I felt like there was a lot of potential for plot things to do, like to happen, that didn't happen, and I was just like, okay, sure, we can go the chill route. One of my favorite things in a book is depth, and I feel like this was pretty surface level writing. But again, I say all this and I recognize that this book is literally meant for children. I found myself breaking for the characters, but this also was very insta love, and I feel like the characters didn't really get to know each other on a personal level. They just got to know each other of a, oh, we have the same job to do for Pixie Hollow. Let's bond over that. But we didn't really get to see any depth. They didn't really have any deep conversation. When they were like, oh, I long for you. I was like, what do you long for? His title? Because that's really all you know about the guy. And so I don't know. That to me, again, very, very young kiddo book. So yeah, that is it for today's video. I read 4 royal books. This was so much fun, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!